All right, all right. Hey, hey. Hi, guys. Welcome back. All right, so this is part two. If you didn't see part one, you'll definitely want to bounce over and see that one first and then come back to this. This is our portal message. And we were at a very interesting moment in time because we have that King of Wands who wants to unblock their Queen of Pentacles after recognizing where there was a lot of sabotage and that they took some really poor advice. So now I want to take a look at, since we finally have established which character is which, now we need to take a look at that Queen of Pentacles. And I don't know why, but for the Queen, we're going to do a big, huge deck here. Tell me, what's the Queen of Pentacles thinking about? Now, remember, both of them know darn well, because we already saw that in part one. They both know with that High Priestess card that had come out, wherever the heck it went. They both know that there was sabotage that ripped the two of them apart. These are two people that actually really wanted to build together. It's like you and me against the world, and instead it was the world is against you and me. That's what it ended up being. And I think it's because they had some little, snit or something, and unfortunately, perhaps that King of Wands mentioned their problem to a very bitter King of Cups, and that King of Cups gave them some really um like mind messing advice about how, see, it's proof that person doesn't care about you. You guys aren't anything special. Lovers are a dime a dozen. Dump them, block them, move on. You won't even remember them tomorrow, and they certainly won't remember you. And none of that was true. They've both somehow known all along that, wow, somebody wrecked this for us. Some person threw a wrench in everything. Now, let's talk for the Queen of Pentacles, though, because I could go on and on about my opinions on that. And we don't need Kate's opinions. We need the cards to talk. We got Ten of Wands in the reverse. We have the Fool upright. Oof, we got the Six of Cups upright. And we got the Hermit. So, first off, very strong Virgo coming in because of the Hermit card, right? This is this year's situation because it's the year of the dragon, and we got these dragons going through the portal. Our Queen of Pentacles has never let go of the burden of this. They never got over this burden, although they wanted to. They have held on to the idea that something went so horribly awry here, and someday it has to be fixed. Well, someday has arrived. It's like within this year, she already feels like there's no way that this soulmate is not coming back to me. So on one hand, she's never doubted it. She didn't have the same negative voice in her head messing with what she thought was true and real. She's been bothered by this all this time. And at this point, she's saying, I mean, I've been out here alone in the darkness, walking my own path, and everything I see keeps bringing me to my tree of life, saying, I believe that this is the person who's still returning into my life. Or she's been saying, I believe wholeheartedly that although I can't seem to shake this off, I know that they were a soulmate, but I'm sure that maybe they're not the only one. So in this year, I know that I'm going to be connecting with a soulmate. She may not. She's turning around and looking back almost surprised. She might have been saying, I'll never forget them. I'll never get over what happened because I know that this was real. But at the same time, we move on anyway. But it's kind of like there's some secret part of her that still expects that they are going to be showing up. Now, in all honesty, we have two dragons going through the portal here. It could be that she's about to meet a new soulmate, and at the same time, they could be showing up in her world. It very much could be something like that because of the two dragons. That, or it's just both of them. I mean, this is the 2-2 portal. So maybe it's that she is recognizing on, February the 2nd, that it's like, I know that that this was real. I know that they actually really loved me and I really loved them. And soulmates find each other again. So as much as I keep walking forward and following my own path, and it looks like she's been single for a while. We got the King of Wands. Okay, I don't get to pick the cards. We keep getting the King of Wands again and again and again. It's weird. It's almost like she hears their thoughts on that 2-2 portal, and she looks back over her shoulder and says, Is that you? I thought I just heard you. Yeah, here they come. They're looking for her. They're up here in this raised, kind of like miserable looking landscape on their tree of life, which is pretty twisted and has not many branches. Life has not been good for them without her. All of this being told, oh, it doesn't mean anything, block her and move on, was such an epic, incorrect thing for them to have ever let get in their head. They listened to, I don't know why, we'll ask that in just a minute, but that King of Wands listened to the worst advice, and they went ahead and let someone else's tainted view, that person must have had a lot of power over them. They let that person's tainted view crush and ruin what they knew to be true, which is I love her and she loves me. They never stopped loving her. They have not moved on without her. They have, I mean, their tree of life is twisted and gnarled and almost without branches, because it's kind of like they've just been existing since this. Why would you block somebody because of someone else telling you, oh, it doesn't mean anything? And you go, okay, it doesn't mean anything. God, but I thought it did. But no, they said it didn't, so I have to block this. But I can't help it. I think about her all the time. Nope, they told me that it doesn't matter and that she doesn't care about me. They were in this vacant landscape telling themselves all the wrong advice over and over. And at this point, they're ready to fly away from that and go find her. She's picking up on that. She hears them. She knows that they're out there. And maybe it's because at the same moment in time, she's having this coming to Jesus moment where she goes, look, I don't care what anybody says. I know what I know. They did love me. I'll never be able to forget them. And either they'll be back in my life this year, or I guess someone else will, because probably there are more than one soulmate. But she turns around for a reason. She hears the call. I'm feeling like, even though this is a griffin, which is a like a mythical creature, it's it's like half lion and half like falcon. I feel like she hears them looking for her. She hears their snap back to reality where they go, what the hell have I been doing? I want to unblock my person. I want to talk to my person. I need my person. So she hears their call. But what does that mean? She, he, it does not matter. I don't read for genders. This could be same-sex couple just as easily as reverse gender roles. What does that mean? If she hears them, and when I say hears them, it's like hears their energy is, I guess, what I mean. Four of Pentacles, Page of Swords, again with our like griffin creature. And the fact that we've got that Four of Pentacles, she does not reach out to them. Even though she hears their energy, she does not reach out to them. But we left in part one, we left them with a Page of Swords. And here she is with a Page of Swords. She does not take action toward them, but she openly starts to think about them. They are thinking about and seeking her. I don't know, maybe she looks them up but doesn't send them a message. They are actively trying to find her. I don't know. Everything here says that they have to go find her. Like, they blocked her and she has perhaps since moved. Maybe she's in a whole different place. Maybe there's something that has changed. They have to go find her. They have to put a plan in action and they have to go find her. I can understand why it's on their shoulders in this storyline, because they listened to the advice of that bitter King of Cups, who told them a lie, and then they perpetuated that lie and said, okay, so I guess I can't, I guess I won't, I guess I can't have that thing that I want, that relationship that I want, I guess that can't be mine. They perpetuated that lie, and so they're the ones who have to undo it. And especially if they're the ones who blocked her, they have to go find her and fix this. This is all happening on the second for a reason. Tell me about her being that Page of Swords. Sorry. We've got the magician. Sorry. My phone was ringing. Like, I don't know who it was, but some message coming in. Here we go again with the magician and the dragon, right? But they are conjuring up the dragon. The dragon is our hopes, our wishes, our dreams. In particular, it's our dreams. It's also the year of the dragon, so it's a year to take action. It's a dynamic year. It's an exciting year, and sometimes we have to be able to, maybe breathe fire. You notice she keeps coming up as a dragon. She's the one with all the dragons. Now, granted, it's because this is a deck that has dragons, and the other decks do not. So, on one hand, we could say, well, of course, she's going to keep coming up dragons. I'm using the dragon deck. Well, it's not a dragon deck. It just happens to have a few scattered in, and she just keeps getting all of them. It's the truth of it. But she is in that place where she's saying, I believed that this is real. I believe that this is true. So, although I will not reach out to them, if what I'm feeling is true, that I can sense that they are kind of calling out to me, I can feel them. I can feel them so strongly that on my silent solo hermit's journey, I turn around and I go, are they looking for me? I feel them. I feel them about to take charge. I'm going to think about them. I'm not reaching out because they have to do something to fix this. They have to manifest me, and they have to use all their power. If they blocked me at one point in time, even though maybe now my life has moved on and I'm someplace else, if they really care, if they told me lies before and let this whole thing go, even though I believe that they did love me and want me, but for whatever reason they didn't pursue this with me, they have to love me, want me, and need me enough to come forward now and change that dynamic. I can't be the one to, just because I sense them thinking about me, now I reach out. They have to come from me. They have to find their personal power, because it's the only way. It's kind of like, I don't know if she's thinking all this precisely or if it's a feeling where it's like she may just silently send up that thought process of, then come find me. Put in the effort and come find me. You put in enough effort to block me and listen to somebody's bad advice. If you know it was wrong, if you're sure it was wrong now, if you're missing me the way you would need to in order to overcome other people's, opinions that you listened to once upon a time, you got to be in all your power. So if you're in all your power, you'll find me. I'm not going to reach out to you though, because it would take away your opportunity. She's here, and it's almost like her dragon is saying, wait for it. If we go back to that other dragon deck, you notice that there's a red dragon going through the portal, and there's this kind of clear colored dragon. It almost looks to me like the red dragon is probably her. She's the one kind of being encouraged to let them step into their greatest power, their decision-making power. This is Virgo Gemini energy. She can open up the energetic gateway to say, yes, do the thing that you need to do. Fix this with us. Step into your power. Decide that you know what's true, because I never doubted it. I knew that I loved you. That's probably why I can still hear you, and I turn around even though I've been out here on my own for a long time. So if you want me, step into all the power that you possess, because that's what it's going to take. It's going to take them being in charge. They can't have other people saying things and then they believe other people. They have to know what's true for themselves. They have to know what they want, and they have to not have fears that get into their head just because someone else says, oh, love doesn't exist. Oh, forget about that person. Now, let me ask that question that I wanted to ask before. What was the issue? What was the dealio here with, why was there ever that sour King of Cups? Why and how did they have so much influence over that King of Wands Emperor? So they could have been a really powerful father figure. They could have been a really powerful boss figure. They were someone who had a position of high authority. Then why, if they're the Emperor upright, why were they actually the King of Cups in the reverse? Three of Coins. Either they needed to work on themselves and their own bitterness from their own life. Someone can be awesome in a lot of ways. They can give terrific advice. They can lead really well. But when it comes to their own personal emotions and heart-centered energy, particularly around something as important as like love, they could be tainted in love, but fabulous and powerful in so many other ways. So it can be really confusing, right? I mean, come on. Everyone's just immortal. not immortal, they are a mortal. They are a simple mortal being, which means we are a vast array of wisdom and childish mistakes. We are a blend of moments where we've mastered some things, but we're still very much working through other things. We're still learning all the time. This is why you don't want to find gurus. You don't want to follow people and say, well, they said it, ergo, everything that they say must be true. It's awesome to find wisdom where we find it, but then we still have to be contemplating and weighing, okay, I respect this person. They have a lot of knowledge. They're right about, 50 things, but they can still be wrong on the 51st thing. So if this character listened, if our King of Wands listened to the words of an emperor who they themselves had a lot of lessons to still do in regards to matters of emotions, matter of the heart, belief in love, security in romance, and our character did not do critical thinking and say, well, I respect this person, I know they have a lot of wisdom, but that doesn't mean they're right about my heart's journey, and I have to consider the source. If they're bitter about romance, but they have found a way to say that maybe they're wearing a suit of armor, maybe they aren't speaking from a place of true wisdom, they're speaking from a place of assumptions, and they came up with those assumptions because they themselves had been very wounded in love and romance at one point. It's really, really important to never follow people that tell you I have all the answers. That's the first red flag for me. So somebody says, listen to me, I go, why do you want to be listened to? If someone says, I know the truth, follow me, I'm like, oh gosh, no. You want to lead, you want people to hear you, which means you have an ego. If we have characters who aren't trying to force their opinion, but still they want to, or they're presenting information, that's fine. Everybody has a right to speak, and there's a lot of wisdom that comes from every person on earth, but it is always the individual's job. Whoever the audience is has to remember they're in charge of their own discernment. Hearing what everybody has to say, but still saying, but what's true for me, that's ultimately what this storyline is about. No one should ever listen to any authority as if you have it all right and I can never question you, or that there's no way you could be wrong, because this authority was still working on things. This could have been a situation where a boss figure wanted to not lose a great employee to a romance, so they could have had an agenda. They could have said, no, I want them to keep working with me. They don't need to be in that love and romance. Anyway, there's other people to fall in love with, so I'm sure it's not that big a deal. And they might have said something that was manipulative on purpose, which would not make them an emperor in the upright at all if they did it knowingly. That's why I'm a little more inclined to say they might have really said what they thought was right, but they were speaking from a broken place. And our King of Wands did not consider that. They went ahead and they listened to someone. And that worries me about the King of Wands. Do they have the capacity to really think for themselves, especially in matters of the heart? Hearing one piece of bad advice at the wrong time can certainly make somebody vulnerable. But again, it's their duty to figure things out on their own. And if the King of Wands isn't there yet, we have the Eight of Wands in the reverse. The King of Wands needed to figure some stuff out. They did hear some poor advice, but we can't blame the King of Cups after all, because truthfully, that King of Wands was not ready to move forward with this relationship. In the past, as much as they loved her, wanted to be with her, they were probably in a fragile place. Maybe any little thing could have thrown this, upset the apple cart, They weren't actually ready for this romance until now. So it's a little bit irrelevant that someone told them bad advice and then they listened instead of figured it out for themselves, because the truth of it is the only reason that bad advice hit them so hard is because it reflected the fact that they weren't genuinely secure yet. And that's no shame, that's just a learning process, right? We're not trying to shame, why weren't you strong enough, why were you listening to others? This is more, we're finally getting to the meat of it. Like, how is it that someone else's influence made such an impact? Because truth be told, they weren't ready yet. Let's take it to a part 3. I want to see just a little bit more about what's changed. Why are they ready now? And I also want to see about our Queen of Pentacles. Thanks for giving this a thumbs up and subscribing. See you in part 3.